Hello, my friend. How are you doing today? Welcome back. Welcome to the witching half hour or so. You're here with me, your favorite witch and coven mate, Jody Ann. This is our third season of the podcast, and at the beginning of the season, we are diving back into tarot. I love tarot. It is such a big part of my path and my journey. It's where I came to witchcraft. It is how this all started for me. I've been studying the tarot since I was a teenager, so that puts me as an elder. I've been studying it for more than 25 years. A long time. I've been studying it a long time. And my understanding of it deepens and grows. And the reason I love doing these episodes with you is because I'm going to give you information you just cannot get in a book. There's books I've read, there's things I've studied that I don't even know if they're still in print. I've lost copies of things. I've been working with these cards and reading professionally for around 15 years. Reading for friends, a lot more than that. So I'm bringing to the table, to you, my love, to these episodes, information about sitting across from your client and how these cards tend to show up. We're going to look at the symbology. We're going to look at the artwork. And I have a YouTube episode that holds hands with this podcast, all about each card as we go through. And the YouTube information is different from this information. It's not like I'm video recording what I'm saying. They hold hands, they go together. I find it's hard to break down artwork and symbology without a visual aid. So that's what the YouTube episodes are for. You can just Google the witching half hour or so and it'll come up on YouTube. The channel's name is Tarot Talks with Jody Ann. But it's super hard to find because we are a small channel. While you're there, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps us find each other in this community. Okay, do I have any housekeeping for you? I think the only thing going on, really, I'm going to be teaching soon at the First United Spiritualist Church. You can find out what days I'm there by going to their website or by going to my website, jodyanpsychicmedium.com. I'm hosting free new moon manifestation circles. I'm super excited about these. I hope you come. I want us to create the most amazing 2024 together with intention under the new moon. There is a link to sign up on the website again. And what else is going on? I think that's it. Okay, let's dive into this tarot card. Now, with this being our third season, we are getting into the last 7 cards of the High Arcana. I like to break them down into 7 because each stage of the tarot tends to have like its own vibe. And the energy around this last set is really, I want to say high-minded and high-vibing, but it's also like on that very deep spiritual level. There's a lot of symbology. There's a lot of metaphoric ideas and like big heady ideas in this last set of 7 cards, where if you're looking at the first set of cards, it's all about deepening your understanding of self, deepening your understanding of your own set of tools and power, right? Figuring out how we are really each character in that first set. There's a piece of us that is the magician, the high priestess, the Hierophant, the Empress, and the Emperor. We are all those characters. They are all a facet of who we are as a human being, right? And as we go into the second set of 7, it's talking about how we relate to the world around us, how our ability to be empowered and live authentically reflects in our actual environment, in our life. It's the things that we battle as human beings, right? So you've got the Wheel of Fortune, which is all about learning we're not really in control, even though we're empowered. You have the Strength card and the Justice card in there, learning about inner strength and choosing with our heart and our mind, right? Learning about truth and honor is in that set of 7. In this last set of 7, it's about how we relate to the spiritual realms, to the esoteric ideas, to the human condition, to our shadow, to our sunshine, to the stars, to hope. Big, heavy themes coming up. So the card we're looking at today, the card we're diving into, number 15 of the High Arcana, is the Devil card. Now this one is kind of interesting. Like, it is really neat. When I first started studying the tarot, I had a hard time connecting to this card because I couldn't quite understand it. The imagery on it, when you look at a lot of the Rider-Waite inspired decks, really show like a traditional Christian devil, like a real Baphomet-esque looking but very masculine figure. So you've got like these goatish or chickenish legs and the horns. It, honest to gosh, looks like something off of a Black Sabbath poster or t-shirt in like the late 70s and early 80s. It's straight up Satanic Panic looking devil. And I found that so strange to me, this deep Christian undertone in this esoteric divination tool. A tool that I was connecting to through neo-paganism and the goddess movement. So I had like this disconnect going on. And even the literature I was reading about it in the 90s when I was learning tarot had a lot of Christian undertones to it. In the books I read, there was a lot of wording around like the highest self and your God self and connecting to God consciousness. And then you had this devil card. And there was really wishy-washy wording around the card, where they would say things like, I was reading some of them preparing for this, so they would say some things like, all humans have good and evil in them, and this card, like, they couldn't even come out and talk openly about human nature and the shadow aspects that this card represents. No wonder I had a hard time understanding and connecting to it. And then you had pop culture and movies where this card would show up, and it would show up like a demon, like an actual physical force or bad omen. And that's not really what this card is about. I finally found a book that explained it to me. I think it was actually the Mythic Tarot. When I bought the Mythic Tarot, that was the one. Oh my goodness, I'm going to have to check on that for you guys and put that in. Okay, I'm going to check on that and find out if that's it. Anyway, I was reading this one book, and one of the key words for the devil card was addiction. And I was like, that's what it means. It's not a devil getting you. It's like the devil inside you. And this light bulb went off, and I started to connect and understand the spiritual meaning behind this card. Now I have a better name for that, what I would call your shadow aspects. the aspects of yourself that are not your prettiest, are not your best. They're part of your humanity. They are part of what makes us human. And we don't want to let them run amok in our lives. But we can't suppress, deny, and shove them down because they will pop up somewhere else. So that's what I want to offer you with this devil card, for you to understand that we are not talking about a Christian style devil. This is not about having like a little guy on Bugs Bunny's shoulder whispering bad things to him. This is about your inner tendencies to maybe be self-destructing, to maybe indulge, to be fearful and create chaos in your life rather than moving forward and embracing the positive things that will make you grow. Because as humans, we resist change. We resist all change, even positive change. And that's what this card is talking about. It's starting off the set of 7, this higher realm, this highest consciousness, connecting with your source, your power, your spiritual aspects. And the first thing you need to do is come to terms with your shadow, to look at it, to maybe be able to love it, to accept that we are never going to be God consciousness on this earth. We will aspire to it. But a hungry child will always covet their neighbor's food. We can't help it. We are animalistic. We are human. We are made of matter. We are fallible. There is no perfection. There is balance. Embracing who we fully are and moving forward towards growth and harmony. Does that make sense? I told you this set of cards, it's like really heady, it's really esoteric, it's really like spirit-based. This is the top of the higher arcana. These are very high vibrational cards. So that's your kind of meaning behind the card. That's what it is. It's not evil incarnate. It's the little dark voices inside us that keep us from moving forward, that we battle, sometimes daily, sometimes hourly, depending on what's going on. So when you are sitting across from your client and you are looking at a spread and you've got all these auspicious, beautiful things coming up for them, and then a devil card, you know right away that they are going to want to sabotage what's coming to them, that they are going to have to battle this idea of not feeling worthy enough to accept what is right before them. And it gives you an opportunity to talk to your client, to connect with your client, to help them through this very human experience they're going through. Another thing this card can show up and talk about is addiction. If your client is anyone who struggles with addiction, right? They will understand this card, the language that would make sense to them that is taught in recovery programs is the idea of character defects. The things inside ourselves that we're working on actively, that we're always going to be working on. Pieces of ourselves that have kept us alive, but maybe don't always serve us the best. One of the cards that I love from my decks, I'm going to show it to you on the YouTube. There's a card that depicts the devil holding someone hostage like a marionette. And I really like that depiction of this because we often feel smaller than these impulses. We often feel disempowered when we're faced with our shadow. When our shadow shows up, it's like totally, hidden because it's our shadow, but it's also real unconscious behavior. It takes a lot of intention and a lot of mindfulness to work through shadow aspects and to quiet them. So I have found with my clients, if you are able to let them know what's going on, that it's not something outside of them trying to sabotage, but it's actually old behaviors coming up, behaviors that we tend to indulge in, behaviors that we have maybe adopted over the years and can do without. I think addiction is one of the best examples of this, right? It's a coping mechanism. Whether that addiction is compulsive shopping, compulsive gambling, compulsive eating, or actual substance abuse, the devil card will highlight this. And it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to do this behavior or that we are destined to fail. What it means is whatever we're going through, whatever else is happening in the spread of cards in front of you, we're going to feel vulnerable enough that we will want to indulge in self-defeating behaviors. There is a feeling of vulnerability when the devil card comes up. So how can we empower our clients through this? How can we help them see that this looming devil is really a shadow reflected from a small piece of insecurity or feeling of vulnerability? Are you with me? Can you envision it? Can you see this whole idea of watching the shadows play along the wall and thinking the shadow is a monster, but really there's a light behind you making your shadow appear big, right? You got me? The main key, I think, to interpreting how to help your client the best and what the wisdom from spirit and the divination tool is giving you is to look at the cards around it. That's one of the keys to tarot. It's not just knowing the meanings. It's knowing the tarot spreads, knowing the way that the cards are interacting with each other to create the story, to create the picture for your client to move through and get unstuck. Of course, I'm imagining our client is stuck, but that's usually why they come and sit at our table, right? Because they're feeling stuck and they're in need of guidance. And that is your job, dear Coven member. That is your job, beautiful psychic, to help people see what they can't see, to be their vision, to be their inspiration, to be there to give insight so that your client can make the best decisions possible. You want to clear the fog from them so that they can move forward with confidence and ease. At least that's what I try to do for my clients. I hope that's what you're doing too. I think that's what we're all doing though, right? Giving them insight. So I don't know what else I can tell you other than that's like a big key to tarot, is looking at the spread, figuring out what position the card is in and what that is saying about what's going on in the situation. And we're going to find that especially with these bigger vibrational cards. A lot of them will even kind of take over a spread with their energy. So you'll know by having one of these last 7 cards or one of these combinations of 2 or 3 high arcana cards in a spread that is mostly full of pip and lower suit cards, what the theme is going on, what we're talking about, what's happening in your client's life. And if the devil card is the theme, your client is in a vulnerable position, not because of an actual devil, but because they're going to want to be using coping mechanisms. There's something going on where they are at risk of diving into their shadow aspects of themselves, really indulging, that they're out of balance, that they're letting their fears and their desire to maybe control things overshadow everything else in their lives. They're often focusing on a problem so much that they're unable to see any way out of a situation. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Yeah. The 15th card, the High Arcana, the Devil card. And it's actually not as scary as it seems. I think that's a big takeaway too, that if we think of the Devil card as our shadow aspects, and we remember that metaphor that our shadow is just when our light is behind us. We've turned away from inspiration. We've turned away from light, and we're looking into the dark, and we're seeing the shadow of ourselves cast on a wall. It always looks more scary. Shadows are always creepier than what's making them. And that's a piece to understanding this card as well. The idea that it's not as scary as it seems, no matter how it's depicted in your deck. And a lot of them look very like a quote unquote traditional devil. Goat legs, goat horns. Some of them even have a goat face, right? And the symbology is really interesting. It's kind of neat. I do think, though, that Western civilization is so entrenched with neo-Christian, with Christian ideals, that anytime we see a Baphomet-esque or a goat-headed style, we immediately go to that like hell and brimstone and fire style devil, into this idea of demonology and the biggest, baddest bad thing there is. And you'll find like a lot of the writings talk about it like that. Like they really talk about this card in a strange way. They don't know how to come out and say that there's darkness inside people. And the depths of our soul is not always shiny. But that doesn't necessarily mean we're evil. It just means we're human. But so much of our culture focuses on good and evil and black and white thinking, and the idea that we have to conquer and destroy all of our base animalistic ideals. Now, this is very dogmatic Christian stuff I'm spewing at you, stuff that I have walked away from in my life onto this path of witchcraft, where things are much more shades of gray, and personal empowerment, and the idea of everything in balance is beautiful. And we don't need to be perfect or devoid of fear or devoid of anger, and that we can have faith and hope and also be afraid all at the same time, that there is no black and white, that we're less dichotic than we believe. So, yeah. And that's all here in the tarot. So I think I'm getting rambly. I think I'm getting pretty rambly. I think I've said everything I want to say about this beautiful card. Remember, there will be a YouTube companion to this episode where you can see a bunch of the devil cards from my deck, and I can tell you more about the symbology and look at it with you. Yeah. I really hope that this helps you in becoming a stronger tarot reader, and it helps you lead your clients to more wisdom. Okay, my loves, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for all the time you spend with me in your earbuds. I do so appreciate you. Show notes and everything that I'm doing can always be found on my website, jodiannepsychicmedium.com. I love hearing from you. I love getting your comments. It warms my heart so much to hear from you. And I will talk to you very soon. I'll see you very soon. Okay, bye, love. But we can't, mic bump. I bumped my mic, okay. Stutter. How's my testing? How's my volume? How's where we at? Okay. Oh, okay. So the devil card. Let's just start that segment again. Okay. And I think that's why, am I going to talk about Judeo-Christianness? My